Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And we are talking questions here this week. With last week and this week, we're talking about how to become a better leader. We've been answering questions that you've been submitting. And we got a great question today, Mark. I'm excited about this. This comes from another young leader who's asking, what do I do when I'm not getting clarity from my own leader?
Yeah.
How do I lead well when my leader is not giving me the clarity I need? And I think whether they're young or not, so many leaders are asking this question, like, what do I do when my leader is not giving me the clarity that I need? And we say all the time, we want to see a world well led. We do know that when leaders get it right, it benefits us. And when they don't get it right, it's pretty miserable to be in our role. But what do we do when our leader is not giving us clarity? I guess we could leave, which we might need to do. We'll talk about that. But sometimes we're in a role and we're there and our leader's not giving us what do we do to lead well, Mark? You got a thought there? It's a good question.
It's a really good question. Here's my advice. Provide the clarity that you can. I believe there are so many things you can provide clarity on about the way you're going to work, the values, the norms of your team, the expectations for your team, what's going to be recognized, what's going to be rewarded. I think you bloom where you're planted, and you provide the clarity you can provide. And where you can't provide it, you own that. And you say, we don't have clarity on that right now.
Yeah.
And you don't throw your leader under the bus. We talked about that in a previous episode.
That's right.
One of the things you can't do is blame others. But you can. I would encourage you to make a list of all the things you have clarity on, and I think you'll be shocked as to how much you can articulate for your team.
I think one of the things you can also do is make a list of all the things that you feel like you don't have clarity on. And then something actually I heard you talk about this before is the job description is an opportunity here. Well, you maybe you have a job description, but it might not be clear. I mean, there's just ambiguity or whatever. Didn't you years ago start the practice of writing your own job description? Like this is what I'm going to do to help the organization. And you've met with your leaders through the years. I know doing that. I've tried to like, here's what I'm going to bring to the table. You kind of can create your own clarity, and you probably were getting good clarity from people. But if you don't have any, I think that would be a really good, to have a conversation with the person who's leading you to seek that out.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're not sure and we don't want to go talk to them.
Have a conversation.
I think that's to me, that's a good place to start.
And not just about role clarity, but what are the other things you would like to have clarity on? Maybe it's about vision. Maybe it's about goals. Maybe it's about priorities. I have asked, and I would encourage all of you, if you're unclear on the priorities for your team that the organization has set, raise your hand and say, hey, help me sort through this. We're going to do great work. We're going to do world-class work. We're going to do life-changing work. We've got amazing people, but we need some direction here. And now, let's pretend you don't get it. Then you make the call and say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. But you can seek clarity from your leaders on anything you don't have clarity on.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't.
Yeah, I think if we're going to do that, we get to this point where we're having to make the call. I also would remind us, let's make sure we communicate again with our leader at that point. This is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so many times, if you have a leader that's maybe they're not sure, they're not engaged, all kind of leaders, out there in the world. Typically, they're gonna like action, but if they don't like it, then now they have a chance to communicate, and you can get some clarity just by those kind of conversations as well. But what I found is leaders don't like surprises. Like all of a sudden we're doing something. I've created my own clarity. It's not, maybe it needs to be within the boundaries. I guess that's what I would remind us of.
Right. I talked to a leader yesterday who had made a proposal to his leadership about something he wanted to do. And I said, what happened? And they said, nothing. I said, what do you mean nothing? It's like, I've asked several times and I've gotten no response to my proposal. I said, you got your answer. Like, now's not the time. That's okay too.
Right.
I mean, there is something more important than being right, and it's submission to authority. And it took me way too long in my career to kind of get my head around that. But it's not, if our leadership wants us to do something and it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, it's our responsibility under their leadership to do whatever it is to the best of our ability and to lead our team to do the same. So you don't have to be right, but you do need to be under authority.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I would, I guess, warn us here that passivity, though, is not the answer. We can't just say, I don't have clarity, so I'm not going to do it. Because people are depending on us to have clarity, just like we're depending on that leader. If we don't have it,
which is why I said you got to decide.
Exactly.
You got to give people meaning and purpose and direction.
But you can't, exactly. But you can't just say, well, we're just going to do nothing and wait and
just play video games. We'll get back to
exactly.
you. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because what happens is possibly like is happening with you right now. If you're feeling like you don't have clarity, your people will leave you, and we always say there's nothing worse than your people have left you and they haven't told you yet. And it's just that disengagement. You'll never get where you want to go with a group of disengaged people. So we've got to. There's a lot on the line here. We've got to get this right. And I think to me, again, it just starts with going back to that lead. Whose fault is it? Well, I'll just accept it's my fault that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, that's great. I'm going to go talk.
What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to go seek it out. Exactly. What am I going to do about that? Because obviously my leader has not taken it upon him or herself to create clarity. I'm going to go after that. And I got to seek that out and make sure that those lines of communication need to be open. And then I will just finally say, if I don't feel like I can submit to authority there, I don't feel like I'm, this is the right place, the right leader, there's the old, you get to decide who your boss is too. I mean, you can fire your boss.
That's right.
Like, I can't fire my boss. They own the company. Well, actually, you're choosing to put your time in this place. And if you really don't feel like you can, you can't live in an environment of ambiguity your whole career. You don't want to do that.
Right.
And so, I think that's important.
Well, I want to go back to what I suggested 5 minutes ago. I want to be sure leaders make a list of what you do have clarity on. There may be a list of things you don't, and you can write that down. But when you're trying to give your team clarity, there are so many things you can provide clarity on.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to miss that. I don't want you to miss that.
That's a good place to end it today. Just that if we're feeling it, the people answering to us might be feeling it even as much or more. And
more. I think it's magnified.
Yeah, I think so too. I love that. So let's continue to work on this good tactical way there to end the episode. If you need to put some time on that, I encourage you to do that today. Make sure that your people are crystal clear on what they need to be doing. And if you're not clear on what you should be doing, go talk to whoever your leader is. Let's make sure that we're creating an environment where everybody can be well led. That'd be so cool if everybody had a great leader. All right, remember, the best leaders lead every day. We'll see you tomorrow with a new question.